My name is Sandile Siko, as it is indicated. However, I listened to the curriculum vitae of the previous person that was introduced, and I thought to myself, wow, we need to be very much involved in our communities. But again, equally, I actually was employed by the Gauteng Department of Education as the Senior Education Specialist in Performance Management, but I'm currently the principal at Palmer Secondary School. Colleagues, the presentation today is more about how to get the best out of our school governing bodies. Yes, colleagues, indeed, let me extend my gratitude for the opportunity that has been granted. Also, let me say greetings to the principals of schools who are also members of the Partnership for Possibilities, the chairpersons of school governing bodies that are here, the SMT members and teachers, also maybe the parent members of the governing bodies that are here. We are aware, colleagues, that we have come to the end of the term of school governing bodies, and we are starting with the process of elections as from the 1st to the 31st of March. I know when the school governing bodies were introduced, just after the South African Schools Act was passed in 1996. Today, I believe, we have entered term number 7, if I'm not mistaken. The term that will start by the 1st of April will be term number 7 of the school governing body. Now, my presentation is covered in the following manner. We are looking at why the SGB, why should we have the school governing bodies? As we are aware that the elections are just on the door, and then the role of the principal and the SMT, how to get the SGBs functional, which is how to get the best out of the school governing bodies. Let me begin by quoting what Nelson Mandela said. What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is the difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the future significance. That will determine the significance of the life we lead. Now, as members of the school governing bodies, when we serve in our schools, we are serving because we want to make a difference in the lives of our future leaders, which is our learners. By the way, we are not there to serve our personal interests, but we are there to serve those interests of our loved ones, our children, our kids, our future leaders. Remember that 2018 has been declared the year of the curriculum, has been declared the year of Nelson Mandela. Now, looking at the school governing body and how the school governing body operates, we don't shy away from the Gauteng Department of Education. We don't shy away from what the Gauteng Department of Education's vision and mission is. Now, why do we have the school governing body? The school governing body will have the number of constituencies around. One, you've got the house there. That house has got a door, has got a foundation, has got windows, has got a structure in the form of a building, and has got your roof. Now, I summarized the structure in the following: that the Gauteng Department of Education, through the Department of Basic Education, is opening our doors of learning. And the department is saying, let us have a foundation. Now, the foundation will go to our learners, which are our future citizens. Our citizens that we expect to become responsible in the political and economic development of our country. And then we have the educators and the support staff. Those educators are the ones who are entrusted with the responsibility to educate our nation. And then we've got the parents. The parents are the people who are saying, please educate these children so that these children can make a contribution to our country. Now, this is how the school governing body is comprised. It is comprised of all the members who would make a difference in our education system. Now, the school governing body does not only comprise the parents, it does not only comprise the teachers, it does not only comprise the learners, but that is our schooling system, how it is constituted. Now, the school governing body therefore plays a huge role in ensuring that the system of education works. Now, part one, we are going to look at the strategic and operational mandates. On the strategic mandates and operational mandates, we're focusing on a process map to turn around the school. Firstly, part one, we're looking at the strategic mandates, which are your national mandates and policies and provincial frameworks, which are the programs and strategies. And then secondly, we're looking at the operational mandates and then integrated turnaround solutions, which are for effective teaching and learning. Now, first, we have your whole school evaluation and development plan, which becomes one of the critical aspects of governance. Secondly, we've got your data-driven management. Your data-driven management, we're speaking about data. Colleagues, we need to be aware that since we are living in the world of technology, it is important that we have accurate data in our schools. By data, we mean we're looking at the demographics of the school, we're looking at the numbers, we're looking at the subjects, we're looking at human resource personnel, we're looking at subjects, content, marks, etc., and so on and so forth. Now, all that constitute a particular data set under the South African schools management and administrative systems, which is your SASMs. That is where all your data sets will be captured. Now, it is through these data sets that we are able to inform the Department of Education about data that each school has. It also becomes the responsibility of the principal and the school management team and the school governing body to ensure that all data sets in our school is accurate. And then we've got planning, monitoring, and reporting. Your planning, your monitoring, your reporting systems are systems that are established by the school management team, reported to the school governing body so that the school governing body can have accurate information on how the school is going to operate throughout the year. By monitoring, by performance, sorry, by planning, colleagues, you are talking to your annual plans, you're talking to your what do you call it? Your timetables, you're talking to your management plans, you're talking to all the activities that will be taking place throughout the year in each school. And by monitoring, we're talking to whole school improvement, to say, what is it that our educators are doing to ensure, our managers are doing to ensure effective teaching and learning. And then your reporting. Or by reporting, we mean the principal then has got the responsibility to report first to the school governing body on the day-to-day curriculum delivered by teachers in our classes. The principal therefore has got the responsibility to report to the school governing body on the annual academic performance, quarterly academic performance, monthly academic performance of the learners of the school to the school governing body, and then to the Department of Education. And then we've got performance management and accountability. Through performance management, we therefore encourage educator development. It becomes the role of the school governing body through the school improvement plan that performance management is taking place. And then the principal will report to the governing body to say, this is our development planning in terms of your school improvement plan. And then school governing body through the chairperson, please provide the resources in order to improve educator development. Because the principal will therefore account And then we're saying stakeholder management. By stakeholders, we say parents, teachers, the business community, the community at large, your school governing body, and your housing department of education. That is how the principal will then be held accountable by the community, by the housing department of education, and then by everyone in the community to say, what is your role, what is it that you're doing to improve the school? And then we've got annual, your auditor general matters. Each school is audited, colleagues. Your assets audited, your learner numbers are audited, your financial records are also audited. And then we've got branch developmental needs and meeting management. Colleagues, all these things involves the community of the school, and say, how do we account as school principals to our community? These are located within the core duties of the principal and the core duties of the school governing body, both in terms of your section 16 of the South African Schools Act, section 16.1, and subsection 1 and subsection 3. We are going to speak to that later. Now, the school governing body is governed by legislation. There's general legislation affecting education, and there's education-specific legislation. But for the purpose of this exercise, I want to focus on the relevant pieces of legislation that affect the performance of the SGB. One, we've got the National Education Policy Act of 1996, Act number 27 of 1996. Now, what is the National Education Policy Act saying? It says it provides a framework for development of policy to the Minister of Education. It says to the Minister, kindly develop policy that is going to speak to the norms and standards for educators. Develop policy on curriculum, develop policy on your management of HIV and AIDS, your establishment of the school governing bodies, etc., and so on. And then the second piece of legislation is the South African Schools Act, 84 of 1996, as amended. Now, the Schools Act provides the core duties of the governing bodies. It also provides for the role of the principal with regard to his role and the role of the department within the school governing body. It speaks to the development of quite a number of policies: your admissions policy, your learner code of conduct, your establishment of RCLs in terms of Section 8, in terms of Section 9, your budgeting processes, and the financial management of the school in terms of your Section 35, your norms and standards for school funding, right through Section 43, and other sections as well, in the South African Schools Act. This is the Bible of the school governing body. Now we are saying all members of the school governing body must have a clearer knowledge and understanding of the South African Schools Act. And then we have the Employment of Educators Act, 76 of 1998. This piece of legislation is the one that makes provision for the employment of educators, it makes provision for the core duties of the educators from your post-level 1 to post-level 4, your leave measures, general conditions in terms of your disciplinary measures, the code of good practice, etc., and so on and so forth. Your leave measures are captured in the Employment of Educators Act. This, again, we call a Bible for educators. And then we've got the South African Council of Educators Act, which provides for the Code of Ethics for educators. And then we've got the Public Service Act. We've got the Promotion of Administrative Justice Act, etc., and so on. However, so I did not complete the number, but it's the Act of 2000. Now, colleagues, these are just pieces of legislation that the school governing body must have the knowledge and understanding of in the performance of their duties and functions. Why? Why the promotion of administrative justice? Somebody asks. Because the school governing body undertakes the responsibility of recruitment and selection. In terms of due process of the law, you are required to have shortlisting and interviews and keep records, make sure that the records are available. And then this piece of legislation is saying, if employees are not satisfied with the process undertaken by the school governing body, they've got the right to request information on how the process was undertaken. That is why you have your grievances, that is why you have your disputes, etc. and so on. So those are the pieces of legislation. Now moving forward, why do we have the school governing body? I mentioned section 16, subsection 1 for the school governing body. I also mentioned section 16, subsection 3. Now, this speaks to the difference between the school governing body and the school management team. Now, section 16.1 says governance of a public school is vested in its governing body. And the governing body may only perform such functions as captured in your South African Schools Act. Now, where are these functions? These functions are captured on your section 20 of the Act. And then subsection 3 therefore says, professional management of a public school is the responsibility of the principal under the authority of the head of department. And then somebody outside says, there is a thin line between management and governance. Isn't it good? Yes. They say there is a thin line between governance and management. But the Act is saying there is a clear-cut difference. Are we together, colleagues? Yeah. The Act says there is a clear-cut difference. Now, how do we say there is a clear-cut difference? We'll specify that. We've spoken to education-specific legislation. We've spoken to general legislation affecting education. I mean, there's quite a number of those. You've got your Labor Relations Act, you've got your Promotion of Access to Information Act, etc. and so on. And then there's the difference between the SGB and management. We'll speak to that. Now, which tools help the school governing bodies to be functional? We've spoken to this piece of legislation, SASA, NEPA, Employment of Educators Act, and then we go back and say, key is whole school evaluation. Whole school evaluation, as also captured in terms of your IQMS Collective Agreement 8 of 2003. We'll speak to that. You've got your Housing Department of Education circulars, you've got your GDE regulations, and then you've got your SASEMs through the dashboard. We've spoken about the data sets. But now we are not going to get into details around those things. And then the process. How do we get the school governing body functional? There needs to be a process. How does that process start? Once the SGBs have been elected into office, the first thing that would be required for their operations is your SGB meetings, isn't it? The SGB is elected. The first meeting of the school governing body would be the meeting where the office bearers are elected. 1, your SGB chairperson. 2, your deputy chairperson. 3, your secretary of the school governing body. 4, your treasurer, and your various committees within the SGB, isn't it? Now, one of the critical committees that the SGB would then have to establish is the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee would comprise the principal of the school, the chairperson of the governing body, the treasurer of the school, the finance officer, among others. Right? Now, the election of the Finance Committee is therefore dependent on the size and the nature of the school. Right? The Act, unfortunately, does not prescribe who should be and who shouldn't be in the Finance Committee. And then you therefore have your monthly meetings. But the second meeting, after the meeting of the election of the office bearers, would then become the handover meeting. Isn't it, colleagues? The handover is intended for the newly elected governing body to know and run with their own strategy and objectives. Then, in between your monthly meetings, you've got your monthly executive committee meetings. And then also you've got your monthly finance meetings. Yes, colleagues, the Act says the SGB must meet at least once per term, isn't it? But operational is possible because of certain decisions that need to be taken, certain projects that need to run, you know, the expenditure, the nature of the expenditure of the school, we need to continuously report to the school governing board. Hence, I recommend monthly meetings. And then you've got your developmental workshops, you've got your conferences, you've got your strategic planning meetings. Once your school governing body has been elected, colleagues, we all know that the members of the SGB, as newly elected, who do not know what their core duties and functions are. So it is important to have them trained. Isn't it? Now, on the other side, we speak to the SMT. We say, in terms of section 16, subsection 3, management of a public school becomes the responsibility of the principal under the authority of the head of department. The principal is the only non-elected member of the SGB. Why? Why is that? Because the principal represents the head of the department, isn't it? The principal represents the employer. Therefore, you can't elect the principal. Now, here's the difference. The SGB stands in a position of trust towards the school. That's number one. Now, here are the core duties in terms of section 20. Colleagues, let me clarify this one. I normally hear people saying, no, my school is section 20, yours is section 21. Have you heard that? Yes. Have you ever heard that? Yes. Let me clarify it now. All schools are section 20 schools. All schools. You don't say your school, no, my school is section 20, my school is not section 21. All schools are section 20 schools. By section 20, we are referring to section 20 of the South African Schools Act. Right? By section 21, we are referring to the allocated functions. Yes. Now, normally, even district officials say, no. All section 20 schools. So there's section 21 schools and non-section 21 schools. Now, the role of the school governing board in terms of section 20 is one, to promote the best interest of the school and strive to ensure its development. 2, to adopt a constitution and other relevant policies. For example, your code of conduct for learners, your policy on finance, your policy on school safety, your policy on HIV and AIDS, your policy on admissions, etc., and so on and so forth. And then to recommend the appointment of personnel to the HOD. By recommendation of the appointment of personnel, we refer to your educators and the non-educator members. But the Act is clear to say, if you appoint personnel, ensure before the appointment of those, in your annual general meeting, on the budget that has been prepared and presented to parents, indicate the nature of the income and expenditure and how those educators are going to be paid. That is, if you appoint personnel on the posts that have been established by the SGB. And then to draft the school budget and present it to the majority of parents present and voting. It is in that meeting where you are going to indicate where those educators and how are they going to be paid. And then to serve as signatories to the school account and monitor expenditure against the budget. And the SGB must serve as The SGB members must serve as chairpersons of subcommittees at the school. Those are just some of the core duties of the SGB in accordance with your Section 20 of the South African Schools Act. And then on the other side, we have the roles of the SMT. The role of the SMT becomes to be responsible for the day-to-day running of the school, to be responsible for effective curriculum delivery, to manage all staff at the school, and to abide by the provisions of relevant legislation, to represent the HOD in all SGB meetings, and to advise the SGB about policy and legislation, and finally to provide the SGB with all reports pertaining to the management of the school. Now, those are the role of the principal, those are role of the SMT, the roles of the SMT in terms of your Section 16A of the South African Schools Act. Now, when it comes to whole school evaluation, colleagues, this also is a very important aspect in terms of your AQNS on the key role of the school governing body. But the principal will then report to the SGB about the nature and level of absenteeism. Yeah? Is it answered?
No.
Thank you. Colleagues, we've got whole school evaluation, the policy on whole school evaluation. The policy on whole school evaluation has been established in terms of your Collective Agreement Act of 2003. Remember, Collective Agreement Act of 2003 speaks about 3 systems. That is why we call them the integrated quality management systems. One speaks to developmental appraisal, which becomes the role of the principal in the SMT. And then it speaks to performance measurement, which also becomes the role of the principal and the SMT. And then finally speaks to whole school evaluation. Whole school evaluation then becomes the role of the school governing body. Now, with whole school evaluation, we're focusing on 9 key areas for evaluation. One, we've got the basic functionality of the school, leadership, management, and communication, governance and relationships, the quality of teaching and learning in educator development, curriculum provision and resources and learner achievement. We've got school safety, security, and discipline, and then we've got school infrastructure. Finally, we've got parents in the community. Now, the question is, how do we get the best out of this job? Right? Once a school has gone through what we call whole school evaluation, internal whole school evaluation, the current terminology speaks to whole school improvement and it speaks to school self-evaluation. But in terms of whole school evaluation, we're speaking to the 9 areas for evaluation. The school governing body then must then take stock. This process speaks to development planning, it speaks to the school improvement plan. The SGB will then focus. There are templates. There's one template on school profiling, right? Secondly, there's another template on school health assessment. The 2 templates, they give you an idea on what to focus on when you speak to the basic functionality of the school. And then the school profiling, it has got, I think it varies from one district to the other, but the one on on school profiling and school health assessment, I know those are documents that have been developed by Gauteng Department of Education Head Office and have been distributed across all districts in Gauteng. Now, the school profiling, it gives each school an opportunity to score themselves against each area for evaluation and specified criteria with the robots, like a dashboard, green, yellow, and red. Do you know? Those are the templates. Those are the templates. Now, the basic functionality of the school governing body and the entire, by the school governing body, colleagues, I'm speaking to the entire constituency of the SGB. Parents, teachers, learners, and non-educator members in the SGB. And everybody, like the entire staff, for example. We say focus on the basic functionality of the school, and then you say, let's look at policy. Does the school have policies? Does the school have relevant documentation that will ensure that the school is functional? Firstly, do we have a school timetable? Secondly, do we have attendance registers for the teachers, for the learners, for the non-teaching staff? Do we have late coming registers? Do we have early departure registers? All those records. Which policies do we have in place? And then if we don't have all what is mentioned, and then we develop a plan, what is it that we're going to do to ensure that all this documentation are in place and implemented? That's what it speaks about. And then you've got leadership management and communication. Do we have a school management team? Is the school's post and staff establishment a full complement? Do our educators and non-educator members have job descriptions? Do they comply? Are the job descriptions signed? Are they aware? Have these job descriptions been mediated? Are they in line with policy and legislation? That is what we must, those are the questions that we should ask. Does the school have a mission and vision? Remember, the vision and mission is one of the responsibilities of the school governing body to develop. Right? Do we have a vision and mission? Gauteng has a vision and mission. Do you raise that? We know. I was in one school the other day and I saw one vision and mission that says a smart service delivery of quality public education. Do you remember? That vision and mission, colleagues, is outdated. It's a vision and mission that was introduced by former MEC Ignatius Jacobs. Right? I know some of us still do have. It's no longer in place. There is a current one, just the most recent vision and mission. Not the one by Barbara Creasy that speaks to every learner, ensuring every learner is in school, blah, 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 blah. Not that one. There is the current one. So let's make sure that we update. Now, let's track. When tweaking to the quality of educator, quality of teaching and learning and educator development, tracking educator performance against learner performance. Are the annual teaching plans in line with today? If today is the 22nd of February, the annual teaching plan is saying today 22% of the ATP is covered with these activities. The annual teaching plan is also saying if you are behind, it will tell you maybe you are at 12% or at 14%. Then it becomes the responsibility of the principal and the SMT to say, what is the catch-up plan to ensure that on this day, you are dealing with today's activities. That, colleagues, is captured in terms of the quality of teaching and learning and educator development. Am I there? No. Am I there? Yes. Yes. But I've jumped governance and relationship. But I'll come back to governance and relationship. Let me complete that one. The quality of teaching and learning and educator development is saying, are teachers teaching? Are learners learning? Do teachers have plans? Are they implemented? That's what it says. Is the HOD monitoring? Are reports written to the SMT or to the principal? Is the principal reporting to the school governing board? Why? So that the school governing board is aware of what is happening in class, what is happening in the school. Remember, we are saying the school governing body does not have a right to monitor, isn't it? We are saying that. Clear. The Act is clear. It says, chairperson, govern, focus on governance. Principal, focus on management. But equally, principal, account, report to the SGB. When you report, your reports must not be selective. Chairperson, ask the principal, can you give us a report on learner attendance? Can you give us a report on educator attendance? Can you give us a report on curriculum implementation? Now, the school governing body meetings are meant for such activities. Now, that is how we get the best of the SGB, by making sure they're informed, they're involved, they serve in committees, they participate in meetings, they participate in workshops. We don't just say, please, chairperson, sign. No. We don't start there. We start with planning, so that when you have planned, the school governing body is involved. When you say, chairperson, these are the activities, these are the resources required, then the school governing body knows when to make resources available. Now, whole school evaluation, colleagues, it's a process that is going to make sure that the school governing body is fully involved. In that, this becomes part of your planning, and most of the activities that you have planned for become a part of your school governing body meeting. They form part of the agenda where the principal is going to read, report, account, and respond to questions, and also make requests to ensure that the school plans are properly implemented. Colleagues, remember, this is not a workshop, is it? I know we could go on and on and on and on. But I was given 30 to 35 minutes in my presentation, but I've also taken advantage that maybe, that the Mandakai, maybe when he joins us, I will have already covered the room. But colleagues, Chair, thank you so much.